All right, live. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another UniteDeFi Roundtable. I'm very excited to bring you our guests this evening. We have a couple stragglers that'll be coming in here in just a moment, but we're going to go ahead and get this thing kicked off. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could please give us a like and subscribe. It does help the YouTube algorithm. These videos have been gaining a lot of traction, and it helps spread the information that we're sharing. It's good information about all of the participating projects, as well as just general DeFi talk. I'm going to go ahead and pass it around the room and give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves real quick. My name is Chris Ginn. I'm Meta Captain from Meta BUSD Coin. We are a BUSD reward token on Binance Smart Chain and a VR project. Atlas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crypto Atlas. I am a YouTuber that covers passive income projects in the crypto space. And I am sponsored, so thank you very much for that, guys. And happy to be here again and being able to discuss with a lot of very familiar faces and being able to share this with my community. So thank you very much for that.
Sorry, I lost my unmute button. Karuna, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, my name is Eric. I'm the, CEO or chairman of GigBoxx. I've been on here before, but I'm super excited to be back. So thank you for the opportunity, Chris.
Not a problem. What is GigBoxx?
GigBoxx is a up-and-coming project that is focused on providing people a place where they can buy and sell creative services. We're obviously going to be looking specifically at crypto services, but also we'll have a widespread variety so that people who aren't in the crypto space.
All right. Kyle, Nobilty. Sorry.
Do we lose him?
Also.
Yeah. Thanks for having us back, Chris. My name's Kyle McDougall. I'm the CEO of Nobilty. Nobilty is a product of my esports organization, which is Noble. And so we're just following suit. We're an esports-based cryptocurrency.
That was such an official introduction. Like, I don't know. I feel like that was like a slight mic drop all in itself. Like, we're going to circle back around to that, sir. Bold statements. Kevin.
Kevin Reamer, CEO, BUSD Buffet. We're a reward token, rewards in BUSD. We use a portion of our tax to purchase other tokens, and then every week we sell a portion of those to generate volume and rewards for not only our project, but for the other projects that we are buying tokens in. And we're also looking to help other projects that are just getting started, help them from idea, refinement, all the way through to post-launch.
Cool. Through like a incubator?
Yep, the B-tip.
Awesome. What's B-tip stand for?
The BBFT Token Incubation Program.
All right, cool. Sorry. EJ.
What up, guys? EJ, team lead, CEO, all those cool things. EverReflect, we're a 15% BUSD reward. Reflection token on BSC. We're currently working on a couple of different moving projects. NFT ticketing is going to be our big claim to fame, but April 15th, we're going to be releasing a BSC chart called EverChart. It's going to have some pretty cool features. Check out. And I am joined, as always, with our CCO, our Chief Canine Officer, Brody.
That's so funny. You say that as Dan pops up. It's like, wait, Dan, is your name actually Brody?
How we doing?
That's hilarious. Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, actually, since you're right there.
All right. Well, I'm Dan, obviously CEO of DFS Mafia, and glad to be on here. Appreciate you guys doing this. It's pretty awesome. So I don't know if you guys are going into what your coin does and everything, but been in crypto for over 5 years and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of going into just like what our project is. So like we'll go into like some great details, but like what is DFS Mafia?
Yeah, so we're basically merging crypto and fantasy sports into one. So we're launching a fantasy sports platform with our token integrated into it. Got our own sports themed NFT marketplace, and really just using the platform to be the driver of burning tokens and creating volume like an exchange would be, along with obviously being a full-blown fantasy sports platform as well. So platforms, I would say, about half done. All the mock-ups are done, and now they're working on the HTML. So we're on pace to launch this summer, and it's amazing all the progress they've made in such a short period of time.
It's very cool. I've been seeing some amazing updates on Twitter. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me back. EJ, I see a very nice hoodie that you're wearing.
I'm a Bergman groupie. I'm just. If people have seen me, if people have seen me earlier this week on Twitter, I did put it out there, so they probably think I haven't changed out of this hoodie all week, which is true.
That's amazing, man. Good for you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And actually having an AMA tomorrow with Kevin. Just wanted to shout that out.
Dude, everybody's trying to get Kevin AMAs lately. I don't even get this. What's the deal?
Likeable.
How about El Jefe? Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself as well? I don't want to leave you out, bud.
Sure. Chris Muniz, Chief Operating Officer, DFS Mafia. As Dan alluded to, we're moving at lightning speed with our platform. 46 days, 19 hours, 30 minutes, and 24 seconds. But who's counting? That'll be our private beta launch, and then shortly after we'll have our public launch. Glad to be here. Always love when you put the space together. I think there's a lot of information and good stuff that comes out of it. So,
is Matt with you guys?
Did Matt join? Yeah, he is.
Is he
I'm
here?
here. Sorry, just putting a little man in the bed if you can hear me.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
I love how there's just more and more squares and we keep getting smaller. And I feel like it's going to be one of those big collages that makes a picture of Rick Roll or something,
Gotta turn the light on real quick.
I think this is the limit right here. So, like, funny enough, just insider knowledge on StreamYard. So this is the limit of screens that you can have on there. And then if like anybody else tries to join, you can't have anybody else on the screen, but you can have 2 more people in your studio, but it costs you $25 more a month to have that feature, just to have them like parked underneath you. Anyways, jump into the nitty gritty here. Me, Kevin, and EJ are kind of like the staples on here. We're always here every week. So whenever we have our guest on, we do try to have like quite a bit of focus on what they're doing and what they are bringing into the table. We hope that our audience is fairly aware of what we have to offer. So we're going to try to spend most of our time on what you guys have got going on. But we will be asking questions to each other. And if you guys have any questions that you have for us, feel free to ask. I'd like my first question actually to go over to Kyle. It's been a few weeks since you guys were last on here, and I know y'all are always constantly working and churning towards new and greater things. So the last time that you were on here, like the thing that kind of stole the room was this sports book talk. Is there any updates that we have there? I believe the last time you were on, it was just like you had just kind of signed some official like documentation, and you were going to be like officially sports booked and kind of going like that. Any updates on that?
We have a bunch of updates. So regarding the sports book, we do have the business established in Curacao, and so we're getting that license. So that's the first one. We just submitted our last piece of information, so we can submit the application for the license for Curacao, and that's just one of the jurisdictions that we're aiming for right now. But because that's usually the quickest and easiest one to get, a lot of people in the sports book and the online gambling world know that. And the kind of like the gold standard of the whole industry is the license from Isle of Man. And so I'm talking to another corporate service provider in Isle of Man right now who's going to be helping us through the process over there too. So that's the biggest one that usually takes like 9 months to get, and it costs a little bit more. So we're going to be working on that while we're working on our Curacao one. But once you have the license for the Isle of Man, then it's just a matter of sending out legal opinions to the other jurisdictions instead of going through the whole application process for these other places. So like once we get the Isle of Man and Curacao, we're not we're still not able to offer the services in the United States. So there's a whole separate process for those. We have to go to each individual state. But once we have the Isle of Man one, it's just a matter of doing the legal opinions and submitting that rather than going through the application process for each and every state, which saves us a ton of time. It's more efficient. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, but that's perfect because that kind of talk just isn't, to me at least, is fairly bullish because the way that you're talking about it is perfect. It's how you would expect somebody who's being serious about their, their enterprise, what they're doing and how they're taking that. Big boy talk.
Yeah,
As Tango Delta 6 just said, big boy talk.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like a side project for us because we're an esports-based token, so we're kind of focusing. We want to focus, majorly on the esports aspect of it, which we are in other aspects. But this esports betting platform, it's kind of like taking on a life of its own. Like I didn't realize how much time, energy, and money had to go into it. I didn't realize all the legal stuff that went into it, so I started looking more into it and asking people and bringing on the attorneys and the corporate service providers and all these other people that are helping us through the process. I had no idea what was involved. So I'm trying to build out a team there. We have a project manager for it, but it's just been so time consuming and energy consuming. So
I think also though, I think most people could agree here, like the whole, like it takes money to make money thing. And that's kind of like the barrier of entry there for a lot of people. So like sometimes that's what it takes to set you apart, being an established project that has capital availability to actually get you into that next stage that actually, moves you forward as a true enterprise. And I'm excited to see you guys taking those steps. Real quick, just because it's so closely related, I'm going to hop over to DFS Mafia. And you guys, I've seen on y'all's Twitter, it looks like y'all are about, I want to say just under like 2 months away from your platform going live. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're just under 50 days now, about 48 days, 47 days from our live beta launch. So we'll be rolling out the beta to our VIP members and some of our close, holders. Let them test it out, make sure everything was working right. We're going to integrate the blockchain into it. And then, the full platform launch will be shortly after that. So we'll be operational during, baseball and soccer season, and we'll get MMA mixed in there too. And then, we'll make sure that everything's working properly before you get into the fall with, basketball, football, hockey. We'll get all those integrated as well. So perfect timing where we're not taking on too much in the summertime, but at the same time, we'll have enough sports where we can really make it entertaining when we kick it off.
Hey, Dan, badminton.
I was thinking about doing that first, but then, I don't know, a couple people told me that that's not the biggest sport to throw in there first, but I was disappointed.
Question, you said MMA. Is there fantasy MMA?
Yep. Yeah, I do it all the time. You can bet on, or not bet on, but you have point system set up for. They had point system set up on takedowns, punches landed, rounds won, everything like that. And then, with our style, we'll be doing like a tournament style prop betting. We can literally just do picking the winners of fights and doing a tournament style that way. So it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Okay.
Is there
That's
any?
cool.
Do either of you guys have anything I can gamble on with the Masters tomorrow? Like Dirty Mike and I were just talking about. Like I don't have any bets in for the Masters yet, so.
Not currently. I
did
can
y'all
give
see?
you a couple ago, but
Did you see Tiger is trying to come back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Morikawa, baby. If you guys want some inside info, you guys think I know crypto? I know golf. Morikawa.
I don't think he's actually lying. I feel 100% that he's telling us the truth right now. I don't know anything about golf, and I think I'm gonna go put some money.
Putting $100 on Morikawa at least.
No, golf's not my thing. I couldn't tell you a thing about golf.
Wait, is gambling golf big? Are people betting money on golf too?
Oh man,
yeah, it's one of the biggest. I think it's the biggest actually.
It's amazing.
Golf gets a major audience.
Yeah, so I actually went to Valspar. I think it was a few weeks ago, and I was there walking. I was following Rory McIlroy. One of the guys right behind me is like, "Not this year, Rory. dropped some F-bombs. You're fucking terrible. Rory looked straight at me and started walking at me and gave me a death stare for like 10 straight seconds.
Once all these projects are successful, everybody that's in this room, I'm taking you to the Phoenix Open. In that tournament, you think that like soccer games or like maybe football games, like stuff like that gets rowdy. The Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open in Phoenix, is insane for golf. Like you guys aren't fans right now, but
I'm 100% like calling doubt
isn't
on
it supposed to be like
this.
super quiet when they're hitting the ball though? So I don't know, wondering how rowdy this can possibly get.
Super rowdy. No, everybody's shouting
It's pretty rowdy
at
at
Phoenix
these
Open.
things.
Everybody's shouting like, "You son of a!" If they hit the green, then they go nuts. If they miss the green, they boo them. Like the Phoenix Open's great.
They got tailgating.
Yeah, like it's
Well, they're going to if DFS Mafia shows up there.
Yeah.
For anybody for the sports related project, I'm assuming there's a lot of regulation that you have to consider when you're developing these things. I guess how much time have you spent making sure that you're not going to end up getting bit in the ass down the road with some of the stuff you're doing?
Yeah, we've done pretty extensive research as far as our end. The nice thing, which we've touched base on it before, is that fantasy sports is kind of carved out separately from sports betting in the U.S. So there's still some states. There's a couple states that flat out won't allow it. I think there's only 2 of them. And then there's about 8 other states that have certain regulations. Like you might have to pay a small, like $1,000 fee. Other ones have upwards of $75,000. Just depends on the state. But like 40 out of the 50 states are completely legal. There's no licenses you need, no operational expenses. Just operate as normal. So that's kind of what led me to fantasy sports over sports betting, because I've done both extensively. It's just there's a lot more legalities with sports betting than what fantasy sports has, at least currently.
Yes.
And with
So
Kyle,
I don't. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say a lot of y'all's is actually esports too, right?
We're putting like a little emphasis on the esports part of it, just so it ties back to our token. But we offer the traditional sports and the casino part of it. But to answer Kevin's question, I spend a lot of time with that. Like I personally don't, but I spend a lot of time with the attorney that he knows all that stuff. So I just do what he tells me to. So he's advising in that regard. But it's crazy how much legality and different restrictions and different stuff is going on in that industry. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Out of like a little bit of preparation for this event, I did do like some research because last time I felt so silly. So I do know exactly what like fantasy sports is now.
Hey,
and I do understand that how like much of a market that is, and that's very cool that you guys are tapping into that and trying to like gobble up some of that with some crypto. That's awesome. Something else I looked into was like esports and its trajectory and stuff like that, and what's happened there. I have a curious, I hate to point to like an exact project, but in your opinion, since you're so tied to the esports, ground level, what do you think that like Fortnite did wrong about their tournament play? Because I think everybody thought that was going to be like the next big thing. Like, hey, we're going to have at least like this help propel everything into like continuing large tournament play, arena size deals and stuff like that. And a lot of it's just like reverted once after like just that one first world championship.
Yeah, I think everything has gone downhill. I think a lot of it is just because the game is so repetitive and it's kind of boring to watch. Like it'd be cool if they didn't have the building aspect of it. I know probably a lot of you don't even know what I'm talking about, but you can build like structures in the game. It's like that's all it comes down to in the end is these guys just building structures real fast and shooting it down. It's weird to watch. It's not as fun. There's other games that are coming out like Valorant and people love Apex and League of Legends. There's a ton of different things out there that people like, but
yeah, and for tournament play, Valorant's going to be doing good, but like Fortnite had such a large audience market for that tournament play. It was just so exciting to see that going down, and then to that gone away now. It just like even for instance Call of Duty, like the actual tournament action, it's not nearly as large scale as it was for like Fortnite during that time period.
Yeah, I think Atlas has something to say.
Yeah. So, little background for you guys on me. I used to be a full-time live streamer on a platform called Mixer, and I built up an audience of about 152,000 followers. And most of my content that I did during that point in time was Fortnite. So I'm pretty familiar with it. Now I actually have kind of stepped out of the light from it. I got a really bad taste in my mouth, primarily because of the community space. That's the kind of game where when you're going in and you're playing from like just an average standpoint, lots of people are very toxic. They come in there trying to ruin your game, block you, the whole building aspect you're talking about. The last thing that I heard of recently is that they actually removed the building aspect. So I don't know if they are now trying to push it more in a direction to try and recover from that. But personally, that building aspect is where a lot of the trolling came in. It really kind of pulled away from, frame rates and things like that. So just trying to optimize the game in general has been a general issue for a long time for the game. So if that is going to be staying in as a new definition of how Fortnite works, I think it creates more of an opportunity to start pushing back towards the esports world again.
Yeah, and to build off that, I think Fortnite, I don't know what it is about the community there. It's almost as toxic as the crypto Twitterverse. But these kids, like we had a Fortnite tournament. I think it was back in September. I think like $50,000 Fortnite tournament. We had some of the best players in the whole world show up, and so we organized all these people in our Discord. They were all in one voice chat. It was like 3 straight hours of them just talking shit to each other.
Right.
And no one was listening to us. No one was listening to the tournament organizer. All they cared about was just yapping at other players. And it's like, I don't know. It was like high school.
What's the largest prize pool you've done?
50,000. That's the most we can do according to the what they allow us, the developers and the publishers.
Interesting.
Yeah, we did a $50,000 Warzone one. That was our first one back in August, and then $50,000 Fortnite. We've done some other ones too, but
when you say they, who's they?
What do you mean?
Like you said, that's like what they allow us. Like, is that like Fortnite puts a stop to it?
So it's the publishers of Fortnite. So yeah, so like all these guys, so like Activision, Microsoft, UMG for Gears of War, just all these guys there's like, if you look it up, if there's all different kinds of rules for every single game, they're all different. You have to market certain ways. You have to word things a certain way if you are marketing. A lot of players aren't even allowed to promote. So there's a bunch of things that go into it.
Hey, Kyle, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What genres in the esports space are you guys currently working with and you're wanting to expand out to? Like you mentioned a lot of first-person shooters. Can you kind of touch on some of the other main categories?
Yeah, so a lot of our tournaments have been first-person shooters just because we know a lot of the players or the pro players in there. But once we made the shift to do more community-based tournaments, we're doing things like Fall Guys and Overcooked. I don't know. Have you ever played Overcooked before?
I played Fall Guys, not Overcooked.
Overcooked is fun. So it's like teams of 2, and they compete against each other, and you get like a list of menu items, and you have things in your kitchen. You have to make it and then serve it out to the people real quick, and you get points for each thing you serve out. We had T-Pain play with us on that one, but it's a fun time. So the more games that require less skill, like Call of Duty, if you're not skilled at Call of Duty, you're going to get destroyed. But in these other games like Fall Guys or something like that, anyone could win pretty much.
What about something like Mario Kart? Because Mario Kart has a very big community space. Super Smash Bros. I know that there's a very big community space for that as well. And then also the I can't think of it. It's kind of a strategy-based game. You're on an overhead view. It's got a huge community, massive tournaments. Do you know what I'm talking about right now?
Overhead view?
It's like a team of 4 or 5 against another team 4 or 5, and you're trying to race across the map.
Are you talking about like League of Legends?
Yes, League of Legends.
League of Legends,
stuff like that is in the esports.
Yeah, so for Mario Kart, we actually took like our top 20 or 25 community members out to Vegas. It was like I think back in January, and we rented out the HyperX arena out there. It's huge, like a 20,000 square foot arena, and we had a huge Mario Kart tournament out there on stage. It was awesome.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the comments in here. Anyways, to move it along real quick. Sorry, we can talk about games all night. So
Is that my comments you're laughing at?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was trying to read and like talk at the same time, and it was really messing me up because these are some pretty funny comments. Anyways, real quick, I'm gonna touch base. Karuna, are you still there, bud? I'm sorry, we got caught up talking about games.
Oh, you're all good, dude. I talk about games too, so no worries.
So what do you got?
I actually just had lunch with Karuna. I met him in real life.
That's scary. I'm sorry.
He's actually one of the guys that came out to Vegas with us.
Yeah, I heard stories. But so what do you got going on over there at GigBoxx, man? What are you working on?
Yeah, so we're in the initial phases of building a project. So GigBoxx is designed to be a marketplace where people can buy and sell creative services. So any kind of creative service that you can think of, from graphic design to writers to, I mean, really the sky's the limit there. The really cool thing that we're going to do with GigBoxx is integrate the crypto side of things into it. So in addition to being able to pay with a credit card as you would on other platforms that exist, you'll be able to pay for your services with cryptocurrencies. And the goal is to expand that so that, in the same sense that anyone could be listed on an exchange, any crypto could also be listed on GigBoxx, so that their cryptocurrency could be used to buy and sell services on the marketplace. So we're pretty excited about it. I think that there's really a hole in the crypto world that no one has filled yet to provide this service. And there's so many new projects coming out every day. There's so many people who are looking for services and looking for a place where they can go to get something that is maybe, one of our focuses is to have things specifically for crypto. So, kind of have a focus on people who provide these services specifically to crypto. And so they already know the space. Because if you're going to any random person and you're saying, hey, I need this done, they can do it for you. But if they understand crypto and the space already, they're going to do a better job. So that's what we're doing. Pretty excited about it.
So you're kind of like a Fiverr?
Essentially, yeah. It's going to be very similar in the basic functionality to Fiverr, but with some added features. Specifically, the verification that we have is an added feature. The ability to use crypto to buy and sell is an added feature. Those are the two big ones.
But essentially, like it's just going to be like a marketplace transaction that holds escrow between the transaction, ensuring the security between like the seller and the buyer. Correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Very nice. Very, very nice. And what's like the launch timeline?
We're looking at the end of April right now. We're still kind of finalizing our contract and also some of the legal side of things, but right now, yeah, end of April is the game plan.
Awesome. Every single person up here tonight, legal. It sounds like there's a lot of legal and regulation going on in space.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. That stuff will get you.
I'm thinking I should have been an attorney.
DeFi is not so much DeFi anymore, huh?
No. Since we're kind of talking about that, did anybody, like, I know I'm always so busy, so I'm sure everybody else is the exact same way here. And you just kind of get filled in from other people. But I know some crazy stuff was going on in the market today. It would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to say that I did not notice the general downtrend on the charts and on like the actual stock market. Does anybody know what happened? Why?
Yes,
that was the case?
I do. I did many videos today on it.
Awesome.
I got this one. All right. The FOMC, which is the Federal Open Markets Committee, they meet 8 times a year, and they talk about interest rates and GDP, the healthiness of our economy. And basically, because of all the inflation that's going up, and gist of it, you raise interest rates so people don't borrow money, which is supposed to curb inflation rate. And they're doing something called tapering, which is the opposite of quantitative easing, which is what they were doing during the entire COVID. Which, when they say money printer, That's quantitative easing. And what they're doing is they're buying mortgage-backed security and treasury bonds from the open market. That's how they dump money into the market, like the United States economy. And what they're going to do right now is taper it down. So they're now going to sell their assets from their balance sheets at $95 billion a month to the open market, which means that money is going to go away from the economy. The point is, they're raising interest rate, and they were supposed to raise it 25 basis points, which is 0.25%, to get to 1.9% at the end of the year. But they're now saying that they're going to raise it at least one time of 50 basis points, which is double. And market hates uncertainty. That's the quick version.
Okay, but all is fine.
Say again?
But I said, but all is fine, really, right?
Oh, I honestly think this is great for crypto. Crypto is just being stubborn, and it should be a hedge against inflation. So either one of two things happened. There was a huge shift in dynamics that crypto is no longer a hedge against inflation, which I would give that a 60% chance now, because because institutional investors now control 70% of the crypto market. DeFi, blue chips, everything. 70% of the money is like big corporations. So that's why it's starting to act more like stocks in the tech center. But I'm hoping that crypto is just being stubborn, and eventually it is going to be the hedge against inflation, and we're going to moon up. That's what I'm hoping. And right now with the Bitcoin conference, there's a big rumor that Apple is going to introduce Bitcoin onto their Apple Pay, which then they're going to have to buy enough Bitcoin to support 500 million users of Apple Pay, which would make them the largest exchange in the world, bigger than Binance and Coinbase and Crypto.com put together. So if that happens, we should be bullish. But United Kingdom says that it's legalizing stablecoin as a currency. So it's crazy, because you would think the whole market would, you know what I mean? But it's not. That's the craziest shit that's happening. It's not acting like it should be acting.
Interesting.
I would say one of the things that we also need to remember too is that a lot of these trades that are taking place are through centralized exchanges. And these centralized exchanges, are they on chain or are they off chain? They're off chain. So, depending on what country and what's going on, for all we know, just like how there's a lot of shady stuff that's going on in the stock market, people find ways to manipulate these positions, and we're not as regulated as the stock market. So there might be some things going on in the back end. I'm not saying that I have proof or anything, and I am doing a little bit of a conspiracy theory here, but the reality is that that's what we're in right now. That's the kind of space that we're having to deal with, and it's just something to kind of think about.
Interesting. So with that in mind, I'd like to ask all these projects individually. Sorry, Corinna, your project's not running. But Kyle, what does Nobilty do to try to kind of buffer themselves from these times of market negativity?
Yeah, so it definitely is a little bit different. You have to be economical with your budget. Like our marketing wallet, we haven't really done any marketing, like anything too crazy. Like we're doing a lot of grassroots stuff, doing AMAs just like this. That's why we think these things are awesome. Getting the word out there more organically, building up our socials, the Reddits, stuff like that. And then I think it's just a matter of us like putting our heads down, focusing on our use cases that we're working on right now. So sportsbook and the blockchain and some other stuff that we're working on, just focusing real hard on that stuff rather than the marketing and all this other stuff on the side. And just once that next bull run comes, just make sure that we're prepared for it.
I've never actually asked you, do you all have a date for your blockchain?
No, I think we just finalized what exactly we're doing with it like a month ago, so it should be out. That I don't even want to put a date on it, but hopefully within quarter 4, quarter 3, we'll see.
All right, I'll write your blockchain for you if you want me to. Kevin, same question, man. I'm just going to pass that same question right around the room. So same question. Is there anything that BUSD Buffet does or natively offers that kind of helps hedge against these times of market negativity?
Yeah, that's actually a part of our main utility with that kitchen. Like I say, every buy, sell, and transfer has a 20% tax, and 8% of that goes into the kitchen. The kitchen right now is split between two utilities. We call it, one's the B app and one is the B kit. And so each one of those also has a reserve amount of BNB. So as those taxes get fed into those, that BNB builds up. It'll hit a certain threshold where we will perform the buys. So it'll go through a buy cycle, but leave that reserve BNB. So what we can do is when things get slow, we can tap into that reserve BNB to continue our buy cycles. And then every week when we do our sell cycle, the distribution event, we can still perform that as planned and still generate volume and rewards weekly like we normally would. And we have the reserve BNB up to the point where we can get through pretty long time before depleting it entirely. And then when things pick back up, we refill that threshold. So that's kind of built into the project from the get-go. And that's been active since we launched.
That sounds very cool. That sounds like a useful feature any project would like to have. EJ, EverReflect, man. I think I know your answer, but why don't you share it with the rest of the world?
Well, honestly, I'm stealing a bit of Kyle's response. It actually, because we're very similar as far as like kind of protecting assets that we have, especially when it comes to marketing, trying to be, it's not frugal, right? But it's like you want to make sure that you're being strategic because will this have ROI if you decide to buy this? But also building out those assets that we're going to be utilizing. We have four sites that we're basically launching when we combine basically our charting, our pay, our connect, and then our ticketing. So really putting resources into that. We've tried to utilize this time, especially to build up what I think is the biggest assets for any business is actually your human capital and the people that we have working on the projects and interviewing a lot of people, going through a lot of resumes, going through a lot of just like, build rapport, see how these people work with our team and being able to like expand upon that, because that is one part of all of these industries that massive scaling cannot take place unless you have the right people in place. But then you also have to have the resources there to be able to, one, hire the right people, but give them the resources and the tools they need to be able to build the right assets. And, one of the benefits of my past experience being in live entertainment for so long and multiple hats, you wear multiple hats when you're in entertainment. So it's like one time you're a promoter, the next time you're a ticket seller, the next time you're a sponsorship director, the next time you're putting up the stage, the next time you're selling convention tickets. Like you have so many facets of it. And the last 3 years, specifically for my industry, there's been so much of this downtime that you had to prepare for. And so we've seen a lot of companies that have gone under and a lot of that have survived. And it's like the ones that have survived really protected, basically not over leveraging themselves during that period. And we're making sure that they were in a situation where you could make it out through the dark ages, per se, of what we've seen with the shutting down of so many live entertainment venues and festivals and businesses. So it's kind of like that. Like I correlate, we had a really great AMA with Diamond Wallet the other night, and I correlate a ton of crypto to a lot of things in entertainment because it's a lot of educated gambling. It's some risk, but then there's also hedging your bets to making sure when the market turns around, it's very, very similar. So, but Kyle, I loved your answer. And that just, again, shows why I love Nobilty and why I can't wait to forge that relationship further with you guys, because it's a true business. Like you speak like a true CEO and you carry yourself in the manner of like, no, we got people that can answer those questions. I might not know all the answers, but we're doing it correctly. And I respect that massively.
Nicely said. Definitely nicely said. I love hearing you talk, EJ. Like you can definitely, like, you don't have to, you say a lot of words, but you don't have to. Like you can hear the passion in your voice for your project. You can just tell that, like, hey, it is your baby and you love it. It's crazy. DFS, you guys got a lot of representation right now. Who would like to take this question?
I'll take it. I'm going to steal something out of Chris's mouth on this one, though. So not to piggyback too much off of like what Nobility's talking about and Kyle, but I mean, first and foremost, just being smart with your marketing. I mean, we've been approved for, I think it's 6 major exchanges, and we haven't pulled the trigger on them, not for lack of resources or finances, but just the fact of like looking at the market conditions. Yeah, we could get onto a major exchange and then get a slight pump from it, but if the market's not the right condition, you're not going to get that ROI from it. So that was one big thing that we kind of sat back and started researching other projects and just overall what happens when a token gets launched on a platform, and we're just not seeing, the ROI on it. So we've been focusing our resources more on, like Kyle said, the organic growth, doing AMAs. We've gotten onto a lot of smaller exchanges and DEX and, getting more access to our token, but without spending the big bucks on it. The other thing, or one of two other things, is, we're fortunate enough to have a multi-million-dollar company backing us financially. So it's not a matter of, we don't have to sell our tokens or reflections to pay for certain things. We're fortunate enough to, whether it's self-funded or from our investors, we're in a pretty good position in that sense as well. So the platform's paid for, marketing budget set aside already for everything we're planning on doing, which will start to come out in about, I would say, in the next 25, 30 days. We're doing a major marketing, campaign. So we're, getting ready for the platform launch. And then, like Chris said, I'm going to steal this out of his mouth, but the biggest thing about us is we're a fantasy sports company first and crypto second. And the only reason I say that is that we're not dependent. We're building this platform so that we're not dependent on the crypto market. Like if we go into another crypto winter, our company doesn't fail because of that. And that's how we're setting up not only our platform itself, but how we run our company, is that we're making sure that we're in both, fields, but we're not reliant on crypto to carry us to make us a huge success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I do think that's definitely important for at least a percentage of projects to pursue that path, not just for the security of that project, which obviously that's always important, but I think more importantly for the growth of the space. Because if you are able to, like, for instance, with fantasy sports, from what I've read, a lot of people really like to participate in fantasy sports, and apparently there's money to be had there. So there's people who are actually doing it to facilitate those extra gains. So it kind of seems like you already have a potential crypto investor, if that makes sense. Like, if it's somebody who hasn't made that plunge into DeFi, but they have made the easier plunge for them into fantasy sports, whatever you call it. I don't think you're allowed to call it whatever, but like, playing fantasy sports. If there's somebody who plays fantasy sports, they might be somebody who gets into quickly the actual like DeFi side of things. Which,
yeah, I'll tell you. So Kevin, who's the CEO of DFS Army, we partner with their company. He's been huge with us, and he says it all the time. But DFS players are degenerate gamblers. They go hand in hand when it comes to crypto. And that's why I created this whole project in the first place. Was I love playing fantasy sports. I made 6 figures doing it. It's an addiction. I did actually really well last night, but and then crypto is the same thing. You get that roller coaster emotions and stuff. So it's like they go hand in hand. A lot of people are, if they aren't in crypto, they're looking at it if they're in fantasy sports. It's a good majority of them are. So for us to be able to partner with like DFS Army and then have the 20,000 plus subscribers, learn about us when we launch the platform, even if a fraction of them that aren't in crypto move over, it's a huge win for us all together. Both on the use case of the platform and also just the crypto in general as well.
Nice. Question real quick for our 2 influencers. It goes along with the last question I asked the group. So I know both of you guys do promotional advertisement and videos for people, as well as you have like a base channel that runs ad revenue depending on like the views that you get and stuff. So during these like kind of bear markets, I know that actually reflects directly on all of the influencers that are involved in the crypto space as well. And you guys actually see a decline in views. I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that because of the general decline in market, you may get an influx in ability to provide paid reviews. Does that balance out, or do you guys just lose revenue the same way like projects in the entire space does?
I'll go ahead and go first on this. So me branching out into doing these sort of like sponsored type posts is something that's pretty new on my channel. I've only really started pushing on it for, I don't know, like the last month and a half, 2 months or so. Circumstantially, though, what is happening is you're correct. I'm seeing a decline in viewership in general, whether it be my normal content that I would do when I cover my Safe Moon, or if it's a sponsored post. And with some of the projects, when I go to discuss with them, I have an idea of what my worth is. But one of the counter arguments that I encounter is they say, well, I'm looking at your videos right now, and I don't really see that price being associated with the kinds of views that you're getting. So by doing that, they're then lowballing me below what my standard is that I try to do. And then there comes into the conversation that whole haggle. Okay, maybe we can do a campaign, or all right, I'll just go ahead and agree with what it is that you guys are pitching on. And there's a lot of new projects that are trying to emerge. And those newer projects, how much marketing money do they have before they've even gone live, right? They're in the whitelisting phase. So for those projects to have the same kind of set expectations, it's just not really realistic. So it's really a case-by-case basis for me personally. But I do see a little bit more frequently in the last 2 weeks or so, I would say, that projects are kind of like, we see that your channel isn't getting quite as many views as before. So they try to have that conversation for a lower value.
Okay.
I know that revenue has been going down in general, not just for our crypto channels, but the finance channels in general, all the bigger YouTubers. It fell by like 20-30% just because the way you get paid on YouTube is there's commercials. So if you make an 8-minute video, there's 3 commercials instead of 2 commercials, 8 minutes and more. The problem is advertisers are not paying as much to YouTube, which means you're getting less. Maybe they're getting ready for a recession because of all this inflation, so they're going to be using the money towards the end of the year, like for the holiday season. That's quite possible. So you're just getting less revenue. In terms of advertisers, I haven't been getting any problems at all getting advertisements, but I also try to throw in extra stuff as much as possible. So if somebody will ask me to do a video, I'll throw in an AMA or some shout outs, and I'll do it out of myself. Nobody has to ask me because I understand that it's really rough times, and you got to give people as much value as you possibly can, and you build a relationship. So it's not just about, wham, bam, thank you, man, give me money. It's about building a relationship, and I feel that a lot of people appreciate it, and it's done so little in this crypto market because most people in the crypto market have no finance background at all, never built an actual business. So, I mean, that's my strategy. I haven't been getting any problem with advertisements.
Very cool. And you do have do you still have, or did you just used to have a business like a brick and mortar or something?
I had a brick and mortar for probably about 18 years. But I'm starting to do YouTube full time. Probably I'm already transitioning, and I'm going to be doing YouTube and crypto type businesses. I have a couple of plans and leverage some of my connections. I have an open air to a lot of the biggest Russian businessmen in my area, like in Brooklyn. It's Russian speaking, so I want to leverage it and do some cool businesses. But yeah, I have it right now, but I am going to end it. And it was a successful business. I was grossing in 7 figures, but I like doing this shit.
I feel like because you're not saying what it is, it's like a bodega or something. It's
No, I'll tell you what it was.
Shipping and receiving on the docks,
No, I'll tell you what it is. So I was something called like in development. So I was doing all high-rise buildings, 6-story, 10-story, 20-story buildings. So I was in charge of getting them approved, permits, sign-offs, violation, getting all the inspections. So that's what I had to do, and I did half the big buildings in my area, like high-rises only.
Yeah, that sounds just as just as I thought it would.
Yeah, I worked on projects like
right.
Literal brick and mortar.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
you did that for 18 years?
Yeah, 18 years. I had some really cool projects. I worked with Plaza Hotel. If you ever seen me in Times Square, those steps that people are walking on where I was doing the Safe Moon videos, I coordinated that entire project where we actually built out those stairs with the businesses. but yeah, 18 years. I started on my own when I was 20. I'm 39 now, so right around 18, maybe 19 years.
Well, fantastic. That's awesome. That's
Yeah, man.
fantastic. All right, sorry. Back to the crypto. I knew that it was worth calling out just because it's a general trend in the market. I think that was a good insight to the fact that I never had thought about the fact that, yeah, you know what? I bet the advertisers are just spending less in general with YouTube. So then, like, the share is probably just cut down across the board. So that's really good insights.
Well, and I only have like slight insights to this from doing it from Michigan Fund to doing it now with the crypto stuff. And yeah, like what I talk about with our videos that we'll run for like UniteDeFi, that you throw a couple bucks behind it per day in advertising, we're getting way more views than I was prior to like 2020. There's no question.
Yeah. So when it comes to YouTube, you have something called CPM, which is the clicks per mil. And how we as content creators get paid is through the level of competition between advertisers. So in an industry space, for example, where we discuss things that involves money, cryptocurrency, stocks, real estate, that sort of stuff, the advertisers there are going to be willing to spend more money in comparison to other projects because their target audience is the audience that's literally dealing with money. So as compared to, let's say, if you're doing content on Minecraft, what is your audience you're trying to appeal to? Kids, right? How many kids really have money? So you got a lot more advertisers competing for those kinds of content, but they're not really like trying to push that hard for a lot of the things. Whereas in the financial sector, we can see just on a per video basis, if you had 1,000 views for a video that's doing something with financing as compared to 1,000 views for something with gaming, it's a dramatic difference. So if you have these advertisers that are competing and trying to outbid one another, that decreases down, then you need less to be able to get seen first. And when you're looking at things like with the war, for example, a lot of business relationships are getting issues because of all this stuff. I think that also is having an impact. And by doing so, you see a lot of advertisers that start to pull back and they're not participating, or legally they can't participate. And you have all that ends up affecting our views. Our revenue as well. So not only is it like you're getting less views, it's also outside of the December timeframe that Adam was talking about, which is everyone's paying for Christmas stuff, right? So January historically is kind of the worst month, and then it starts to kind of pick back up, and it's a seasonal type of thing. But you combine everything that's going on right now, it just creates this superstorm of where we're seeing it across the board. People are just not making as much money in this industry space as a general rule of thumb as what they have been, let's say, 6 months ago.
Can I add to that for just a moment? So I think the whole DeFi space is evolving. Like, remember when I said DeFi is not so DeFi anymore? So, you know, when I'm looking at all of you guys are not crypto heads. You guys are businessmen, entrepreneurs in the DeFi space. Everyone's shaking their head, right? Because it feels good. Like everyone's like, oh, you do crypto. Ha ha ha. No, you guys are fucking entrepreneurs, right? Coming up with ideas on a brand new platform. And I think BNB in general has a very bad rap for being a kids blockchain or not as robust, right? You guys understand what I'm saying, but you guys are changing the deal. So for the last year or so, there's been a lot of rugs, a lot of BS, and then when you have these dynamic projects that are not backed by anything, you're spending money left and right for advertisements, right? And you don't care about your return on investments. I believe EJ was saying it. Well, now people like you guys are like, hold on, we're businessmen. We have a budget. You need to answer for this because now everyone's watching your blockchain, right? All the people investing in your company, the token holders, they're watching you. As before, nobody cared, right? Everything to the moon. Yeah, to the moon. Now you guys have to answer for that. So you guys are more selective because you need a return on views. You can't just pay any promoters. And the promoters, like the YouTubers, man, they took super advantage. They're like, I don't give a shit. I'll just read your screen and I'll tell people, yeah, this is an amazing project, 100x, BSC gem, and good. But then you have people like Atlas does a great job. He goes in on his videos. You know what I mean? And I go in, and now I believe that you're starting to have this synergy of businessmen, right? YouTubers are businessmen, but you guys are businessmen, like straight up. It's not crypto heads. You guys are businessmen in the crypto field as opposed to the other way around. So I think the dynamic is changing where this space is growing as an entire economy. That's the way I see it, and we're just gonna keep ourselves more professional. We have to keep ourselves to a better standard, which is good for the space.
Well, and to that point, that's what I think with the GigBoxx. I think that's going to be important because with new projects coming out, you want to find a reliable source that you can use for some of these things, like your logos, help like proofreading a white paper, or getting that written up. Things like that are going to be. Like I said, you want to find a reliable source. You mean you can go to Fiverr, like actual Fiverr, and try to find something. So roll the dice there, I guess. But so
Yeah, sorry.
Somebody's Lambo is pulling up.
Are they like landing a 740?
Crashed out to their Lambo.
Somebody's trying to land a Boeing
Sound like a
747
Lambo
in
to
your
me.
living room, dude.
Wow, they just landed their private jet.
Yeah.
Who cashed out?
I live in like
Cashed out.
the middle of the country, but I live like on a main highway and like a giant semi truck.
Are you on the highway right now?
Yeah.
Like physically standing in the middle of it?
There's like a tunnel going
crazy.
through your house.
because I'm even wearing like my AirPods too. So like I don't know even how I even picked that up. That's wild. Man, that's terrible because now I'm embarrassed and I had a question I was gonna ask, but now I can't remember. So thanks, guys.
We were talking about YouTube ad revenue, and
Who cares
then
about
Adam was talking
YouTube
about
ad revenue?
Adam was saying everyone's an entrepreneur. You got to be more selective with who you pick.
Yeah. Selective people you're picking. So the real question that I want to ask is win Lambo. No, sorry. What I was kind of wondering is if there was one thing that you had going on in the next 30 days for your project that you're excited about, what is that item? And can you please elaborate on it? We're going to go ahead and go with Karuna. We know that obviously you guys haven't quite launched yet, but you're going to very shortly. So probably your launch will be your answer. But
Yeah, no, but you could actually just come and be GigBoxx as well. You could talk for yourself and for GigBoxx because you literally stole the words right out of my mouth. But yeah, we have the launch coming up like 3 weeks out from now, and that's definitely the most exciting thing. I mean, we're building the community, and I guess I'll play the twist here and say that I think the most exciting thing for me is building the community. No project succeeds without a community. And for us, the community is going to be not just the community, but also a lot of those people are going to be the backbone of the people who are actually on GigBoxx. You know, I want to see people who are selling their services also in our Discord and hang out with people and getting involved in the crypto space. And I think that community has a really cool opportunity to be a place where people come and hang out and talk about creative things and new ideas are formed.
very cool. Before we go to Kyle, I'm actually going to answer for MBC. I always forget to do this. I do have a project that I need to talk about and promote occasionally, but yeah, we have our VR lobby that is actually opening up right now. We're doing our AMA room on VR chat. It is an MBC branded and built room, so the room itself is built by us. All the assets are ours, and we're actually integrating every project that's on the stage here tonight and many other projects that have been involved with working with us in the past. So we're going to go ahead and start that integration from day one. So like there's advertisements and cool assets that are featured from every single one of your projects directly built into our AMA space. That space will be going live to the general public in about one more week. We're doing a lot of beta testing, like just in the background with a bunch of our team members, and we're going to start holding our AMAs there. But as well, anybody who just is on VR chat will be walking in and out of that space. They can portal into it anytime they want to. There is interactive things for you to do while you're in that space, so it's fun and entertaining. But as well, it'll be informative. It'll be informative about all of your projects. So those direct advertisements that you guys have released for yourselves over Twitter or on your websites and stuff, I've already pulled that information, and we've already started to populate that within the metaverse. So we're excited about that, and we're going to be releasing more and more information about that here over the next week, and start to put that link information for everybody. But it'll be as simple as, if you're on VR chat, and that's on PC or on the Oculus itself, or on any headset, I should say, you could just search NBC or search crypto or search anything like that, and it'll be the one that automatically shows up. There's not a lot of crypto space out there in VR, so we're going to be pushing that representation really, really hard early on.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I have a very important question to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you know the way?
I do know the way. What do you mean this is the way? Kyle, how about you, man? Same question.
Yeah, so I think the thing that I'm excited about is version 3 of our token is going to be coming out pretty soon. This Sunday, we have our AMA. We're going to be revealing the tokenomics for it. I think we're going to be doing something a little bit different than any other project is doing right now, so it should be pretty cool. Hank and the team are friggin' amazing. Those guys are so smart. They wrote everything out, sent it over to me, and I had to get on a call with them because I didn't even know what half the stuff is going on, but it should be pretty legit.
Do I get any insider knowledge there? Am I allowed to have a private meeting and get to fill in on this stuff before anybody else? I feel like I should.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I'll DM you.
No, you're smiling. That's a no. that's a legitimate no. Anyways, you know what? I'll DM somebody else. I'll get down to the bottom of this myself. Kevin, how about you, man?
Yeah, for us, next big thing we got coming up is the token incubation program. The goal of that for us is to help new projects successfully launch. Like I say, anything from idea refinement, the actual development of their the project from the start to finish, help with their smart contracts, help them build their communities, the marketing, planning for their launch, getting the pre-sale allocations squared away, the private sale allocations, like basically every little detail that you wouldn't necessarily think about ahead of time, and sort of like, I don't know. My first project is this one, BOC Buffet, and there are some things that you stumble across, and you're like, I did not know that ahead of time. So it's kind of taking that knowledge that we've gained along the way and that we've got from other people, and pass that along to help projects successfully launch. And we're also going to be vetting the projects to make sure that we're pushing through projects that we know who the teams are. We know that they are going to be there for the long run, that they're going to run it in any way that would facilitate long-term success.
I mean, that's like definitely one of the better things that I ever hear talked about in general. I mean, I think we're all aware of multiple incubation programs that exist out there, but just the way that hearing you talk about it, especially from somebody who just went through that process yourself, that's almost like kind of what you need to provide the right kind of services that that you would want to see. Is you need to still be grounded, to like just right out of the gates level, because your perspective is obviously far different from some of ours or other people's perspectives out there. I don't see the same problems that you might see.
Probably the good thing about it too, like I said, because we are fresh. I mean, 2 months now. It's 2 months already. But yeah, we've still got those things fresh in our mind. And like I said, when we were going through, we knew that there were some things that we didn't know until we did. So we can pass that along. And there, like I said, there are things that we know that we won't be able to do ourselves. And like I say, with like GigBoxx, for example, that's something we could probably utilize to help these projects get certain things developed. So yeah, it's kind of like, again, taking what we know, taking things we've learned, passing that along, and then anything that we do need, we figure there's a third party that could do it better than us, reach out to them, and then engage other groups that have more knowledge in those areas.
Oh, well, that totally makes sense. I'm the first one I constantly do that, and I let my own community know that all the time. Like, there's tons of things that I'm just not the best at, and I have to find somebody else that's just better than me at it, so they can tell me what to do.
Oh yeah, I tried once to make a graphic for something that we were doing, and I might as well just been MS Paint stick figures.
EJ, how about you, man? What are you excited about? What do you guys got going on in the next 30 days or so?
Well, the 15th, we're obviously releasing EverChart, so that'll be sweet. That'll be pretty much just a collection of all of our friends on UniteDeFi as far as charting. Everybody will have their own tab. They'll have their own technical chart, links to your contract, links to your website, swap function on there. We'll also have a EverReflect shop, so you can buy some EJ hoodies and stickers and cool stuff like that. It'll also link over to our EverPay portal, which will, as of right now, accept the standard BNB, BUSD, and stable coins. But we have implemented it so that you can purchase your digital ads with EverReflect. So that'll be all digital ads will be an EverReflect buy and burn that'll just add in basically liquidity to our pool. But we have I've spoken with Kevin and Chris today, so we've at least whitelisted their tokens as well, so that if we do want to accept payments on our EverPay portal with Buffet or with MetaBUSD, that'll be awesome. We actually have a portion that's similar to what GigBoxx is doing. It's not nearly as robust, but it's kind of a just a hiring board for some aspects like devs, for YouTubers, things of that nature. Not nearly as big as a Fiverr, but obviously it was just another portion that we were building out with our EverChart. Then after that, we're going to have the release for our EverTix and ticketing that'll come out with our NFTs. I spoke today again with some other festivals. We're going to be in Bay City, Michigan. Looks like we're going to be doing quite a few number of we're not running out of festivals now. Like, we're actually getting more people that want to be on board. So building out that platform to accept the ticketing capabilities for them to be able to use NFTs, but also capabilities to use just the PDF check-in for their scan functionalities. But Noodles, who's on our team, is just a brilliant man. He's in Ireland, and I work with him probably 14 hours a day, building out some of this stuff. Not that we don't have other devs that are extremely talented, like Chris is on board. We have Stu, who's in-house here in Michigan, but Noodles has been putting in above and beyond.
Dude, Noodles is the man. Like, you don't have to shy that down at all. Noodles is absolutely a machine.
I literally told him that if you wanted to have EverChart, EverPay, EverConnect, and then EverTix all, at the bottom when you have copyright, EverReflect Marketing LLC, and it says designed by Sir Noodles, and he's like, no, we don't need to do that. I was like, you can, dude. Like, you've designed all this stuff. And then we just had the end of our NCAA tournament bracket, and so really cool stat on that. So all of us that were pretty much in here, I pretty much had donated. DFS Mafia, Buffet, Nobility, like all you guys, thank you so much. Those 9 tokens, there was 10 tokens total, but Light Cash is not on BSC. Of those 9 tokens that were added basically to the pool of on the beginning of the NCAA tournament, valued in the range of $4,500 to just under $5,000 30 days ago. I paid those out to the 3 winners. The value of those tokens collectively increased to $8,300. So just think about that if you literally, and what, EJ will probably get some crap because I was probably the only one that brought down the chart, right? No, but the funny is that if you held, think about this though, all of our tokens all showing this collaboration of unified tokens together. If you just held those 9 tokens, you would have seen in essence almost 100% increase on your, you're talking like 66% return on your investment if you had done that at the beginning of March to the beginning of April. That's incredible, guys. Like, shout out to all you guys, and obviously like Brew Labs picked up a big portion there and has had a great month. But awesome that you guys would donate that much, anyways. Even to give out, like we had the first winner was from Light Cash, another winner was from MetaBUSD, and then one that represented EverReflect. But like all the participation, we had just under 1,000 brackets, I believe, that were contributed to that. And for those people to win, like we're fortunate in some ways, and then we're not so fortunate in other ways, because you have a lot of like weight to bear when you have a big marketing wallet or you have certain resources at your disposal. You have to be smart as like a CEO with those. But some people might have only been into the space for a while and had $500 that's trading on BSD because everything else is maybe in Doge on Robinhood. So for some of these people that won that kind of money, it's pretty badass. Like, thank you all. You guys made that happen because EverReflect was able to kind of push it out, but we only contributed $500 as well. You guys really took that up above and beyond to be able to pay out over $8,300 in tokens is, I think, incredible.
That was like the best answer to that question of all time. All right, DFS, the exact same question. Sorry. So just to repeat the question again, just because it's been a little while since we asked it. Is there anything you guys got going on in the next 30 days that you're excited about?
Chris, you want to take this one? I don't know how much we can disclose right now.
Sure.
We got a lot. We'll put it that way. But yeah, Chris, do you want to? I don't know how much we can really hint at it. There's a lot of weddings right now.
Drop the bomb.
Yeah. Chris, wait, hold on. All right, Chris, did the one thing get finalized tonight or not yet?
Finalized verbally. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wait until it's officially dry. But
it's done.
We've between personal connections and some other things that some ideas that we've come up with, we've got some pretty massive things that we've been working on behind the scenes. Obviously, the platform's been priority number one, but we're not physically building the platform ourselves. Luckily, we've got a major company doing it, but it's given us time to really focus on some other aspects that have really come to fruition recently. So I'll put it this way. We've got a couple athlete partnerships that are going to be pretty awesome. We've got a couple company partnerships. And
I actually wanted to ask you about these athlete partnerships because y'all have actually dropped some athletes previously in the past on like your Twitter. And I feel bad because I don't know most of these athletes, but I'm assuming these are like famous people. Are you allowed to use their likeness and stuff for like advertisement?
Yeah, 100%. It's not. That was a big thing that we wanted to stress to people when we came out. These are multi-year contracts and partnerships with these people. Like, they're not Cameo style. Like, hey, promote our coin and give us a shout out. Like, they're actual partnerships. And I know a lot of you might have seen, Forrest Griffin, who's a UFC Hall of Famer. He just recently, he signed all these gloves that we did a buy contest for. We're going to do another one, but it's going to be just strictly for charity. We're going to get, Forrest's favorite charity and donate to that. But, he did personalized videos for each of the winners so we can send it out to them. Demarius Randall, who's an NFL first-round draft pick, he jumps in our AMAs all the time. He's reached out to me personally all the time. Like, we've got a lot of people that we're allowed to use, their following,
likeness.
The likeness, their following. I mean, that was the big thing, is that we didn't want to come out here and just pay for a cameo or something like that and try to get people to be like, oh, look at this person's giving a shout out, because people aren't stupid. We wanted to bring people in that bring something to the table. And we've turned down NFL. I'll be honest with you, we've turned down NFL pros because they don't fit the bill. Like, if you're not in this because you believe in what we're doing and you want to help us build this, well, we don't need you. And we've turned down 2 NFL pros because of that. So, yeah, I mean, we utilize our partnerships. CeCe Bellis, a lot of people don't know who she is, but she played Serena Williams at 15 years old. She was a tennis phenom. So, we brought her in. She actually approached us initially because she's part of a VC firm that was interested in investing into us. And then she's like, by the way, I'm interested in becoming a sponsored partner with you guys. So, NFL pros, UFC Hall of Famers. We've got a lot of D1 athletes and stuff, but we're working on something.
Apparently, you guys are supposed to have golfers. I need some golfers.
You know, Tiger's on my speed dial. He's been really busy lately trying to make his comeback, but I told him I'd talk to him later.
That's still gonna shock. I'm gonna have to look that up whenever we get done with this. Is golfing really a high gambling sport? That's just like so wild to me.
It's
Can I ask a question?
too.
Yeah.
So this is for DFS Mafia. Is there any kind of sports betting on like WWE?
I don't think so. Well, so we don't sports bet, but I don't even think there's any. Kyle, help me out on this. I don't think there's any sports betting or fantasy sports for.
Or fantasy elements too.
No, it's fine. I don't think there's for either that I'm aware of.
I don't think so, just because it's scripted, and I feel
But I mean, you don't know how.
What do you mean it's scripted?
It's fake. Sorry. Took me a long time to admit that too, but no, WWE is fake.
Is the like Ohio leagues and like the small leagues, are those scripted too? Like all the small
I think they all are.
regional leagues or whatever?
I honestly have no idea.
I have no idea either. I don't think. I mean, I would think just out of like pure production value, they couldn't be scripted on like those small leagues, but at the same time, maybe I'm wrong. You know. Anyways, so I'm gonna actually do things a little bit differently. I think I've done this one other time before. So I'm going to go around the room and ask everybody to ask another project or person a question, something that you might be interested in from that project. I think it would be easiest if we started off with our influencers, Adam or Atlas. Do you have a question that you'd like to ask one of the projects here?
I technically just asked a question. Adam, you want to give?
No, that does not count, Atlas.
That doesn't count? Okay, let me actually. I got to think of one then. Okay.
I'll tell you what. I can go first if everybody else would like to take a moment to think. I think if I was going to ask individually a question, I'm going to go with. I'm actually going to go with Kyle. He's probably the one person that I feel like, because I know for a fact that I've got like solid deals and stuff in the works with like DFS, EverReflect, and BBFT. I know I'm going to be working with these guys factually. Thinking about how MetaBUSD coin could possibly work with Nobility directly. I know you guys got a lot of esports activities going on. Have y'all gotten involved at all with any actual VR tournaments or any VR play, or is that even like on the horizon right now?
Yeah,
not even with Nobility, just in general within the space, because I know there's like adoptions quickly coming around, but I don't even know how they would necessarily pursue that market.
Yeah, I don't think VR is big at all in esports. But there's always stuff that we could do with you. If you're doing stuff with the metaverse, we eventually want to do our tournaments, because we do bi-weekly esports tournaments in our Discord, and we eventually want to take those out to the metaverse and do something a little bit more interactive, if that's a possibility.
There definitely is. I mean, there's like there's high level competitive games that like to go in like almost seasons on VR. So like, Echo VR was really big for a while, and that was like an ultimate frisbee game. And it sounds wild, but it was a zero gravity ultimate frisbee game, and it was highly competitive. Tournament play like had just started kicking off, and now I guess it's probably Population 1 is probably like the highest competitive played game. Maybe I would think, but a lot of the other games that people play, typically people still participate in like through VR. So even like your standard games that you just play on PC, people are actually still doing that from VR with like modded game files and stuff like that. But I was just curious, because I know like for a while I had seen people were pushing like arena play. So they were going to set up like an actual warehouse with like that entire warehouse was the area that you could run around in while you're in VR. And it's different than how we play it now in our living rooms, but it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, so the company that we invested in, it's called Glitch. They're building out the esports arenas. So they're going to be huge arenas. So it's pretty similar to what we went to for in Vegas. the HyperX Arena, but they're building those. And I'm pretty sure the VR thing, they're going to have their own VR section inside the arena too. So I know they're looking at that. So maybe there's something we can do with you later.
Okay, so next, who would like to go next? Kevin?
Question for Karuna with GigBoxx. Are you going to have, I know you mentioned initially like creative things like maybe graphics or certain text to be written out. Are you going to be having a limit to the service types that you're going to allow initially? And also, what are the sign-up requirements going to be for people who want to offer services?
So, I guess in terms of limits, it will be limited to services that can be provided online. So, like if someone has to mail you a painting or come to your house to do something, like we're not going to be supporting that kind of service. At least initially, perhaps there would be an expansion. But really, I mean, any kind of service that can be done completely online where they can build it and send it to you over the internet would be something that would be available on the platform right off the bat. And then as far as actually using or being eligible to use the platform, so we're going to have a verified sort of badge that any creator can get, but they don't have to have that verified badge to actually sell their services. If you have the verified badge, then anyone who buys something for you can get purchase protection, where that's our escrow system where we would hold the money and then pay it out upon completion. And then the other cool little perk that the verified badge gets you is access to what we're calling the bid box, which is a space where anyone can essentially post a wanted ad and say, hey, I want X service done. And anyone who's verified can come in and say, yep, I'll do it for X amount of dollars. And then you can connect with people in a different sort of way, as opposed to just scrolling through, 18 pages of people who have, of graphic design people. Instead, you can get a little competitive and get hopefully, the best bang for your buck, but also know that the only people who have access to that are the verified creators on the marketplace.
So, okay. Interesting. So the people who don't have the verification badge, their transaction is not actually put through escrow? That's
correct. Okay. So, and what we're doing there is we're really trying to encourage everyone to be verified. The verification will be free, so it's not going to cost you money to be verified, and it'll be a pretty easy, straightforward thing. We'll be going with a third-party verification service to actually do that for us. But we really want to highlight having people who are honest and trustworthy and can go through a simple verification process to be eligible to use the platform.
Okay. Will there be a blockchain voting system for your creators? This is a question from the audience.
Blockchain voting system. I haven't considered having a blockchain voting system. We are intending on having a rating system for creators, and it sounds like that's kind of the direction that question is heading. I don't think we've actually really considered putting that rating system on the blockchain. I think we've just anticipated that we would have that system be based on a off-chain database of some kind that was just integrated in with our marketplace.
So whenever I see questions like that, I like to ask myself specifically, in general, whether or not a blockchain or doing something on chain is beneficial. And in this situation, I think that this would actually be fairly beneficial, because I think what they're trying to imply is that like point system or that rating system going to be done through the blockchain. Therefore, it's like not manipulated in any way. Like, you know how, like, for instance, we see how like Amazon and other service platforms are able to promote certain things versus another one. That would be your benefit to having a platform that operates on chain would definitely be the transparency behind that. So I could see why you would want that on chain. They actually asked a follow-up question, which was, how do you prevent people from fraud? And I think like that's their follow-up questions. Like what I'm trying to get at now is, yeah, you would do that. You would try to have that voting or rating system on chain if you could. Therefore, you could try to negate any type of manipulation from like the back end, and because you wouldn't want to promote certain like providers or certain services and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at, Jelly Bean.
No, I absolutely agree, and I could see that happening. It gets a little bit complicated where if it's actually directly on the blockchain, we can't go through and change it necessarily. Once it's there, it's kind of there. So it would have to be kind of figured out how exactly you would make that happen, where there's always going to be people who just post a bad review or leave a bad rating for whatever reason. And I think part of what we want to do is make sure that not necessarily that we're going through and reviewing all those ratings, but we do have a system in place where people would, if they have X number of bad ratings or X number of bad reviews or complaints, that they would be reviewed by the actual admin team from GigBoxx. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thought. We'll have to noodle that over.
If you check out the live chat, that whoever this person is, this concerned investor, they would like you to DM them. So, all right. Next, who would like to go next? Does anybody else have a question for somebody else on the panel here?
I want to know. I see Tango talking about Clinton Portis is asking about us. I'd like to talk to Tango after this. You can see in the chat, you said that Clinton Portis was asking about it.
Interesting. Who's Clinton Portis? Is that a famous
former
athlete?
running back in the NFL?
Okay, former running back in the NFL. Very cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, I feel so bad not knowing, because I'm sure these people are major stars.
Yeah, most people wouldn't know who he is unless you're a sports junkie. He was good in his time.
Okay. I do know like the basic people, or not basic people. I know like all like the like the major stars that you would know. Like I'm a big I don't know, Michael Jordan fan and stuff like that. Like that's a Space Jam.
Oh, so you follow basketball?
Sorry, what is that?
You follow basketball?
Yeah, if I had to follow like one sport over another, I think probably basketball would be it, I guess. No, honestly, that's a lie. I think I don't know.
He's gonna go with golf.
Yeah, golf, I guess. I mean, football. Football is probably the funnest one, just like in general to watch.
Which football?
Like the
American football.
American football. I think, because like I guess that's the one I have most experience watching, because you have to watch that one like every Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of football in my time, and I'm from Texas, so I watched a lot of football growing up. But yeah, I don't know. Most of the other sports, just to be honest with you, are just hard to get through. Like golf, I still can't imagine people betting on golf. Like, doesn't golf take all day? Isn't that like an 8-hour deal or something like that? Yeah, I don't know.
Pretty long.
Yeah. Anyway, so who would like to go next? Who would like to next?
Chris. Like,
I'll go ahead and
I'll
ask
throw in
my
some
question
money
now.
for you.
Yeah, Atlas. What do you got?
So going back over with DFS Mafia, what about, is there a section for fantasy betting with things in racing like Formula One, NASCAR? I would picture horse racing probably being up towards the top. Something along those lines? Is there anything with that?
Yeah, we're initially launching out with sports that we know will get a lot of traction up front, but I mean, honestly, the plan is to not just compete but exceed like FanDuel and DraftKings. I mean, doing whether it be NASCAR, horse racing, IndyCar. I mean, we've got some pretty good. Our investors have some close contacts with Formula One drivers, so there's a lot that we plan on doing. Obviously, we're not going to try to shoot ourselves in the foot by biting off more than we can chew, but I mean, yeah, our plan is to have everything from, golf to, to football to NASCAR, you name it.
Table tennis.
You're going to get one of my investors stirred up tonight. I know he's watching tonight, and we have a little thing going of ping pong and who's going to win. I'm a big ping pong person, so
I brought this up last time, man, that you guys were on here. Table tennis, let's go.
It's awesome that you mentioned Formula One, because like everybody in my community asked me, like, because we're gonna have like the VR experiences for live events as well.
Yeah.
And Formula One, for some reason, is the one that keeps coming up. Everybody keeps on asking me, like, hey, are you gonna have Formula One coverage? And like, I'm sorry, again, this is another field where I have never seen a Formula One race my entire life.
There's a lot of Formula One. I'm telling you, like, the VR idea is huge with Formula One. So
apparently so. Like, I have got to like capture that market. So I'm going to be working on it real hard for sure. EJ from EverReflect's like definitely helping me conquer like the whole live event process of the whole VR thing. Most of it's just like licensing deals though. So like there's already so many concerts and already so many licensing live events that have like VR licensing that you just pay for and you get access to it. But I haven't seen that for Formula One yet. So I don't know if it's only public or private companies that have like addressed that, or if that's something I'm going to actually have to try to like bridge the gap on. But
I know I was going to ask you about that too, because I obviously getting an Oculus and I've watched some of the racing stuff, but one of our board members, he sent me this YouTube video of the one of these crazy rally sport trucks, and they're driving, and like I put this thing on with the VR Oculus, and like you just go YouTube full screen. It's nuts because it's already surreal, but I love the collaboration of all this stuff, like where VR is with Chris, and then literally like the brains of Toten with all the guys that are doing sports betting, and you throw in an Atlas and a Bergman. I mean, like, that's a good party. And I just think the correlation between a lot of these projects is the beautiful part, because they're all unique, but they all are very similar in the sense of, if you have a passion, especially like myself personally, if I'm just like the test subject here, it's like, I love all of these things. Like, they're all so cool. I have tons of friends that are in all aspects of them. And the merger of them all makes a ton of sense. And I think that it's just going to be something that grows and grows. And hopefully we'll be obviously ahead of the curve with doing this on BSC. But like the number of people that will want to utilize all these different platforms together, I think is going to be massive.
I'm about to like step in and ask another question. Everybody else still think of your questions if you still have them. But just curiosity, Kyle and DFS, both of y'all kind of have like similar but different aspects here. Do either one of y'all have general, and I shouldn't even be asking this question out loud to the public, sorry, but do either one of y'all have general idea of like what your target market capitalization might be?
Talking crypto wise or in general?
General.
Yeah.
Because I think both of y'all are like a lot like us. And I think a lot of serious projects end up going this route. You end up having like an LLC and the project, they both end up getting capitalized, so on and so forth. So
yeah. I mean,
general.
I'll put it this way. So two things. One, a company like FanDuel, they did, what was it? Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like $920 million in revenue last year just off their fantasy side of things. So we understand how big this can get. The company who's building our platform built another one very similar that we actually had done a lot of research in because of DFS Army and his knowledge, but they built the same platform, or built a platform very similar to our fantasy side, but with no type of crypto integration, no crypto, evaluation behind it. And they recently sold for almost $100 million. So we understand how big this can be. Like, we're going to launch very similar to what their setup was, but with crypto obviously as well, and build upon that. Like, our plan is to be, a full blown fantasy sports site like FanDuel, but with crypto, and then just we're going to create a entire unique experience behind it. So, I mean, I don't like to sound too lofty in our expectations, but we expect this to be $1 billion company, and that's what we're aiming for.
Okay. I mean, like, no, absolutely. Aspirations. And I don't see anything like technically like wild or crazy about that. Adam, real quick, I know you're about to go, bud. If you can.
Yeah. I had a question actually. Dan, he was talking about getting listed on an exchange and returning your money. You have to pay exchanges to list you. If you can talk about that, I was always curious. I know you kind of. I don't know. No, am I allowed to ask that or no?
Yeah. I mean, we have NDAs and certain things we can't disclose, or just I don't think they'd be happy if we do. But yeah, I mean, smaller exchanges, you can make the right deals with them, or they would like the exposure, which we've gotten from some as well, where there's like, look, we would like to have you on because we know we like what you're doing. But yeah, a lot of the bigger exchanges, they do have lofty, either you have to bring in a certain volume and certain market cap to even be considered, or you have to have money in the bank to pay their fees and get listed as well, or it's a combination of the two. So yeah, I mean, we've got the resources to do it, and we've been approved by a bunch of different ones. That it's just, unfortunately, with a lot of these costs to get on, we don't see the return being worth enough. So instead of spending $50K on a listing, we could spend $50K on marketing. It gets a lot more eyes on us from different demographics too.
Yeah,
All
to
right,
build
cool.
on that a little bit. Sorry, yeah. So
No, go ahead.
there's other expenses too. Like, you have to pay an attorney to give a legal opinion.
Yeah.
And so you have to pay a listing fee as well, and then on top of that, you have to also seed it. So you have to send your native coin or be in BUSD if you have that too. So there's a bunch of things that go into it, and it does get pretty expensive depending on the exchange.
Plus, if you have to manage the liquidity on the exchange as well, there's a lot that goes into it. So that's the problem. Is, I mean, you could have a $50,000 listing fee, but that's not the end of it. A lot of them ask for the legal opinions, and it's just, unless you're getting on to, I mean, if finance came to us tomorrow and said, hey, give us $100,000 and list you, we're not turning down finance, but it's a different story.
I hear you. So, question: how do you go? Go ahead. I'll follow up. Who was speaking?
I was gonna say, I've handled this with my community multiple times. I will not do an exchange if they do not fully value and respect the tokenomics and the exact ecosystem
100%.
that I have built. If I don't care what central exchange is on, if I wanted to be a central exchange partnership, then I would have gone a different direction with my token. I'm a DeFi maxi, and that's just, you're going to support my ecosystem or I'm not going to work with you. That's simple. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Go on, Adam.
So the follow up, I hear you guys. Thank you for the insight, by the way. It's fascinating. But how do you get a return then? So I get it. I get the whole, sexes, dexes. I get it. What does it benefit you? Is it just that the volume is going to go up in general and it's just going to even out and make the DeFi volume go up and the price go up? Is that what it is?
I mean, it's volume. It's, if they support your tokenomics, it's the burn of the token, reducing your supply, the holder count. I mean, the holder count and just the credibility. Once you catch fire, it's
Got it.
That's all you need. So it's a number of factors, but yeah, I mean, a lot of times you'll see a coin get launched on a platform. They'll get an initial hype, pump from, they might get a 50% bump, but then they're back to where they were before the launch within like 3-4 weeks. And it's just like, unless you're looking to cash out your own token and kill your project and take advantage of that pump, what's the point?
Interesting.
If it's not the right market conditions.
I can DM you after this too. There's some other stuff I probably can't say on here, but there's some good stuff that can come out of exchange deals.
Interesting.
yeah. There is benefit. There is absolutely for sure benefits to working on exchange deals. And like different projects and different teams obviously have different goals and need different types of capitalization and stuff like that. So, like, for instance, a good example of that is BUSD Buffet. A lot of their services are actually service driven. So their development is literally based in like just simple code and not a lot of extended overhead capital for that versus an ecosystem like DFS Mafia or Nobility is having to build out where there is a lot of actual cost that goes into developing a lot of their overall robust ecosystem that has to get covered somehow. So, depending on what each project has got going on and what their goals are, they're obviously going to handle those types of moments, pivot points differently. That's and again, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but that's just all I have to say about that.
Two follow-up questions. Do the blue chips do the same thing, like a huge token? I mean, like a coin, a blockchain coin, like a $10 billion market cap, let's say. They also pay to get on exchanges, like Coinbase and like these big exchanges.
No,
No,
they create enough volume that
they
they're
want them.
pursuing.
I got it. And some exchanges will come up to you guys, and some exchanges you come up to, right?
Correct.
I mean, we've been approached by exchanges that they've come at us with like a $25,000 or $30,000 listing fee, and then we're just, speak on what you said. If they don't fully support the tokenomics, they're like, you can kind of feel out too. They're like, oh yeah, we support it, and like, well, how do you do it? They keep beating around the bush. I mean, I've had a specific exchange I won't list that's got a couple $1 billion volume that said they supported our tokenomics, and they kept knocking the price down, so it was like a fifth of what they initially came at us with. And I was just like, no, I mean, if you're not going to support the tokenomics, it's just not worth it to us.
So you said multi-billion-dollar in volume. So you're talking like it was a top 25 exchange?
Yeah, I think it was when they approached us, it was around 2.1 billion daily volume. I have to check what they're at now, but it's probably around there.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some like that. Yeah, for respect out of anybody else who's on this panel, I'm not going to mention any names, but I mean, like, there's plenty of times that I'll toss a lot of those exchanges under the bus. They're dirty. They do things. They do wild things sometimes. So, anyways, Adam, do you still have to go, bud? I felt bad that you were.
No, I do. I have to get out of here. I apologize. I for some reason I thought this was going like until 10ish. And I'm sorry.
Oh my
about
gosh,
that.
have we been going way longer?
Yeah, almost 2 hours.
I'm sorry, guys. I keep doing this. I love having these chats. These are just like
fun.
really fun.
It's great, man. It's great. It's just I have 3 of these each night, and my girl is just gonna beat the shit out of me because like, bro, I'm making videos from like 6 a.m. I'm up, and bro, it's crazy. Everybody has a crazy schedule, but like it's just insane. And sometimes you just need to relax, and you can't even rest your eyes. It's like, so yeah.
What's a girlfriend?
Oh,
I got my wife messaging right now asking when I'm going to be done so I can go get her food. So, let's keep this rolling.
This has to go on now.
Whatever. Bergman for president.
yo, thank you guys.
President.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the audience, and thank you to all of you guys. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you, man.
Bye.
I have a question that might be kind of interesting, but it can go for any project. When you first thought of like your concept or started to approach your project, did you have any idea that was too big that you had to scale it back because of its intricacies, or something that you might even try to revisit at a later time, idea-wise?
It's a good question.
I'll answer it. I'll answer it this way. I do a lot of like different stages of development with different projects. So I have a lot of insight directly towards this question. A lot of the times the ideas start off very large, and they either get scaled back or take longer to complete. A good example of it is, I actually wanted to bring it up to EJ again. Me and Toden have been talking about working out the ability to chart all of like our different BUSD reflections against one another in like a ticker format, like you would like see like on Wall Street and stuff like that. So being able to just like deploy all the APIs for all that, pull all that information, compile it, and then like feed out a live feed of that. It's not like a hard idea. It's not anything that's like would take too long to do, but it's an idea that I've been floating for like 2 months that I just haven't been able to get to because of everything else that I have going on. And like, it's something I want to do. I really want to do it. Kevin would like to see it. EJ would like to see it. We could all use it. It'd be like really fun and interactive. And then I'll put it in VR at some point in a completely different format. But the fact of the matter is, I'm just way too busy to like get some stuff like that done. And like, that's the hardest thing to battle, is just finding the time to implement some of those new cool things that you would like to see, but might not necessarily have like that immediate return towards like investor or holder value.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's a little bit opposite. Like I try to be as conservative as possible. I didn't want to take on too much before we launched. But then as we got into it, I just started to realize like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. And then I'm still doing it. Like even today, I'm working on things that I probably could have done like in the original plan, but I didn't want to overdo it too early. But then that all just snowballs, and now I've got Chris and I talk like all the time about all the ideas that we have. So it started small, but they keep snowballing into other things that we think, well, that would be cool, and that'd be cool. And now we're just,
That's why I asked that.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't starting big and then trying to scale it back. It was starting small and realizing I'm not thinking big enough.
Yeah, and I definitely think that I obviously reference like entertainment a lot, but being a project manager on large scale festivals or events that can take 12 or 18 months, I'm always planning 12 months in advance. Have been for 20 years. And so I think that helps in this crypto space from the perspective of it probably drives my community insane. And they probably hate that. They're like, oh yeah, you keep telling us second quarter, you keep saying third quarter, as opposed to like giving a specific date. But like Kyle just had to do it earlier tonight, where he's like, yeah, I'm not going to give a date, because you really want to act. I think the sign of a good project and a good team is that they are trying to manage expectations as well. It can hurt the chart. And I definitely know that me managing expectations by saying like second quarter or third quarter has hurt the price of EverReflect, but it's not at the cost of hurting our liquidity pool as much as it could be if you end up lying about something or if you don't deliver on what you've promised. So for managing expectation purposes, I think we're only 2 months old. So for actually managing expectations, building long-term trust, long-term assets that we're going to be able to utilize across platforms for a very, very long time, it's the right thing to do. I think it's the same thing with building out a business strategy of strategic plans that can be accomplished in the timelines that you provide. It's more beneficial for the business, and then you can manage assets better. You can manage resources better. You know that you're not going to get to a point where it's like, oh, we've run out of money because we're 3 months in. It's like, no, we built this with the plan of we're going to be around 12 months, 24 months. The nice part about, I think, where we're at is now that we're able to start knocking some of those goals off of the chart or off of the to-do list. Now we can start looking at like, okay, now we can start thinking big, as opposed to like stuff that I didn't want to put really in, like doing our own music festival or doing our own convention and having those as highlights on the roadmap of like, oh, this is going to happen. Now it's like, all right, cool. We have these platforms in place. It's happening. Now I need to get my promoter buddies and the talent buyers on board and stage and lights and all that kind of stuff, because we have the resources. We can do it. We can actually implement our own NFT tickets into our own music festival, which has been a dream of mine for years, not just because of the fact that it would be like NFT tickets, but like to kind of be like a little Live Nation where it's like, we're going to kind of be our own monopoly. We're going to run the talent buying. We're going to run the ticketing. We're going to run the sponsorship, like the whole gamut of everything, and then see how that's going to grow. So.
Yeah, I think on our end, we had to scale back a little bit, kind of like a different way, because I was getting a lot of feedback from the community. And I think that's one of the reasons we've done pretty well is that myself and my partners, people in higher up positions and Nobilty listen to our community. And one of the feedback that we kept getting was that we had a bunch of things out there for everybody. So we had like the blockchain, the play to earn, the NFTs, the sports book. We had all this stuff going on. And it kind of overwhelmed people. And some of the feedback we got was that we need to step back, focus on one thing. Because if you throw too much at people, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to lose focus. They don't really know what you're zoning in on. We had so many things going on at once, so people just don't know what's going on. It's confusing. So that was something that people said is we need to focus on one thing and kind of stick with that. So even though we're working on the other things, we don't even talk about it anymore. Like the blockchain, we never even bring that up. It's being worked on, but we just want to keep pushing the sports book and stuff that's coming out a little bit sooner so people don't get overwhelmed.
I know I've taken that strategy personally. Like I've knocked out just one goal at a time for my community and just in line and just like even though obviously everybody up here knows clearly you have to be working on everything all at once. Everything's going on in the background, but the community, like they don't need to know that. And sometimes they can't quite understand that, if that makes sense. Like
it's hard sometimes because we get excited about it. We want to tell people, but sometimes it's probably the best where you just keep it quiet a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do because community becomes like your family. And some of these people are like your friends, and it's not even like you're trying to withhold information, but at the same point, it's not beneficial to like, oh, here's just a little screenshot, or we're going to have this, but oh, you can't have it yet. No. Like you want to just build a product that's been tested and put it out so that people can use it versus like just getting that flash in the pan. And I respect the teams that don't do that. It's like you want an expectation to be met, and then the whole, over promise, under deliver type concept versus under promise and over deliver. Like it's hard to do in this space, and it's hard to do in life, but that's why I respect projects and all these men that are on this table right now, because I know you guys do that. Like you want to over deliver on every promise that you've ever made. And there's no question about every conversation I've had with every one of you.
You know what I think? I think every project that everyone is going into, you need to remember that you're leaving a legacy behind. And what you're putting into these projects, that's your name on that. You should be proud of that. You should be able to walk away and feel that you've contributed something good to the world. And unfortunately, there are a lot of projects where they're just trying to make a quick buck. They're trying to do these sort of shady things. And those names, they'll fade off into the distance. You guys have an opportunity in such an early industry space that you could change literally the way that we handle all these forms of money in the industry spaces, the sectors that we're in the next 10 years. You could be the ones that make that entire change for the whole world, right? That's exciting. That's something that you put your name attached to that. You can walk away and feel proud. So I think it's incredible what you guys are doing. I got somebody that asked me in my chat, it's like, so in your honest opinion, are any of these projects worth it? I think all of you guys are worth it. I think you guys are all pursuing some very interesting parallels to industry spaces we see with fiat, but you're doing it in the cryptocurrency form, right? And then you're able to help troubleshoot some of those issues or modify it. Like EJ, I'll just use you as one example. I really think it's a creative idea how you can be able to buy tickets, but then for the artists, there's a fundamental flaw where when you normally buy a ticket with fiat, that artist doesn't get any more revenue from that when it resells its ticket. So having this built-in mechanism so that they're able to profit more as an artist, I would be more inclined to do that. Like I've played music before. I've actually made a music video before. I've talked with professional artists. This is something that just kind of from me knowing the generalized space, like, yeah, they want to be able to get a better cut. And so you finding ways to do that where you don't really have that going on with fiat, it's very interesting. And I'm excited to see what else you guys come up with. All of you.
Yeah, and the ticketing space in general, if anybody's worked in it, like Lunar over at Nobilty, I chat with him every day because he has had experience and understands it. And like, if you've been in the industry, you just know how bad it is and how many bad platforms and how corrupt it's been, and how, like we joke about the promoters being the original rug pull before crypto was around, and it happens still all the time. But the cool part about blockchain technology, and this is why I love that Chris has become like a brother to me, because he gets so much more of the contract and Web3 aspects. But it's like blockchain can really actually improve ticketing for so many reasons. Like you said, with a royalty for secondary markets, for metadata, for the novelty of being able to keep the original artwork of, say, like I talked about that concert with Maroon 5 in 2001. Like, I still wish I had that ticket. And I got to meet and hang out with those guys because we paid them $1,500. Like, I don't know what happened to that poster or that ticket, because they were playing at college campus and nobody knew who they were. Like, if NFTs can have so many different aspects, and blockchain, I think this will be one of those technologies that'll be able to span over, because we talk about like, oh, blockchain would be good for supply chain management. It'd be good for resources. And we know that a lot of these big Fortune 100 companies, they're building their own blockchains and their own resources because they understand that the technology is very smart. But everyday average people don't probably utilize it to understand, like, oh, that's why it's important. That's why it's actually more, from a safety standpoint, from a validation standpoint, why there's so much power with actually utilizing, and just not just being able to use the tag phrase like powered by blockchain technology. You can actually tangibly understand it and see why it's going to be beneficial for certain industries.
One of the really interesting things I think we're going to see in the future is blockchain utilization where people don't know they're actually utilizing the blockchain. It's just going to get built into various products and services, and it'll be there. And if they want to look at it, they can. But to use it, they're not going to have wallets or, go on BSC scan and check transactions. It'll just be built into whatever they're doing.
Right, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with EverReflect and with our ticketing. Is we're selling. It's a ticketing platform that's better than other ticketing platforms. It's using blockchain, but yeah, we want everyday people to be like, I still just want to use it because it's a good ticketing platform.
I'm legitimately still caught up on like Atlas's community members comment. Like, do you honestly think any of them are worth it? What do you mean, bro? Like what does that even mean? First and foremost, if you want to get past, like, I understand. I have like this weird effect with NBC where I'm like, I've got your favorite rapper's favorite rapper effect is what I tell people all the time. You get like everybody who's like, oh, who's the best at Metacaptain? But nobody buys the token. Like, they're just like, hey, I'll just buy all these other tokens for sure. We'll just use Metacaptain for all his work. but you've got Nobilty up here, and you've got like DFS Mafia up here, and EverReflect up here. These are like clear-cut, guaranteed giant revenue drivers. And these are true players within their respective like spaces. You could argue that I have competition with like VR development, but I would argue back that you don't know what you're talking about. But that being said, these guys are major players within their individual spaces. So if you were going to take a look at, like, just, again, not financial advice or anything like that, but if you were going to look at like who you could get involved with, if you're interested in that sector, and you might not be somebody who's like interested in daily fantasy sports or esports for that matter, or regular sports for that matter. But if you're fall into that category, you should definitely be interested. If you're in the space, you're paying attention to this already, you would then be at least interested in BUSD Buffet. They are a BSC EFT. So they spread your risk across like multiple projects to deliver you added rewards. And they take care of like that system and handling those functions for you. I don't know. Sorry, again, not financial advice, but
I have one comment too, and I think it's interesting because I love dealing with like those kind of comments sometimes, not because it's like, oh, you want to like be a smart ass and like respond, but what I like to do is then, have the conversation along the lines of, I've been in competition my whole life. I don't joke about like just golfing and betting on it. Like I was captain of my golf team and we went to states, and I know that most of these other guys, I don't need to know the sport or what the competition was. But if you take Dan or you take Kyle or you take Kevin or El Jefe or Matt, who I haven't even spoken with, all these guys have been competing their whole damn lives. Consider like literally count us out. Consider us an underdog. I think it's an honor, to be honest, because I've proven people wrong and my team has proven people wrong for every business and everything I've ever been associated with. It doesn't matter the team, and it doesn't matter the award, and it doesn't matter the plaque, but I guarantee every one of these guys has a shit ton of them in their closet that we don't look at anymore, because I have a poster and I don't have it in here. It's in my other room. And it says, you don't win today's games with yesterday's home runs. And I guarantee that every one of these men that are on this stage might not have that poster, but that's somewhere written into their like DNA and morale, because that's how we all operate and have our entire lives and careers.
But EJ, what if the game was taking place at like 11 o'clock at night, and then they finished the game at 2 o'clock in the morning the next day?
Yeah, maybe.
He's got a point, Charlie. He's got a point.
All right, guys. We have ran this for 2 hours. I'm gonna send it around the room real quick one time. Do a quick wrap up for anything project related or just any shout outs that you want to do. This has been great, and I could continue to do this for like literally hours longer, but my wife would kill me. So start with Kyle. What do you got anything to say?
No, just thank you again for having me on. I think I'm on here next week too, I think, right?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're coming back next week.
All right, cool. Yeah, but no, thank you for bringing us on here. I love hearing about other projects in the space, like Kevin and BUSD Buffet. I didn't know too much about them, so I got to learn a little bit about them tonight, which is awesome. And like the last time I was on here, I talked to every single project that was on here with me and collabed with them in some way, or going to in the future, with DFS Mafia and their stuff going on, probably do something in the future. But I just love being on here. So thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, we're absolutely happy to have you, man. Kevin?
Yeah, these things are awesome. Like Kyle was saying, talking to the other projects and hearing what everybody's doing. A lot of times I walk away with these or from these with ideas for things that I want to do. And it's not even necessarily copying anything. It's just it triggers something, put it in context of my own project where I think I can improve something. So it's in that regard, it's a value add for me to be here, and it's just fun.
It is fun. I'm 100% saying I truly enjoy these. EJ.
Yeah, same. I mean, I respect all you guys. So does Brody. But these are some of the best. I love the way Chris hand selects these like projects. Like I go back to the being blessed and fortunate, but I am, because I get to talk to Chris and Kevin almost every day. The rest of you guys, it's always just a pleasure and honor. You guys are doing some stuff that I'm a huge fan of in general, as far as what I do for my daily, activities and hobbies anyways. And so it's always fun. It's more relaxing than it is like a, Q&A where you're getting drilled, but mad respect, more power to you. Like I said, man, I know that that's the way that you guys operate, that it's like, you can't win today's games with yesterday's home runs. And I know that you guys don't operate that way. And it's just always an honor to be here.
The influencers too, like Atlas. I love listening to your input on stuff, and I don't know who that other guy was. I've never seen him before, but that dude was a baller.
Dude, Bergman, Adam Bergman is the man, for sure. By the way, I didn't tell everybody, but I did sign up Hibiki. So Hibiki Finance is going to end up coming on to one of these roundtables, and I don't know if you guys are aware of who Hibiki Finance is, but you're literally sleeping on like one of my idols as a dev. Like, that dev team is like beyond next level capable of anything you've ever thought of. Sorry, Dan from DFS. Would you and your team like to give us some inspirational words?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just thank you again for having us on here. This is a blast. I mean, just be able to shoot the shit with everybody and talk crypto. And I mean, honestly, you guys, you're talking about can't win yesterday's game with or win with yesterday's home run today. I mean, honestly, that's how we think. We're constantly hustling every single day, and it's just these type of like interactions just motivate us even more. But not financial advice, but every one of these projects on here is so undervalued, at least in my opinion. I mean, I invest in all of them. You guys are awesome. It's just the fact that we're not all $100+ million market caps right now is baffling to me, but it's all in due time. But just, yeah, this is awesome. Thank you. Keep doing it. It's a blast.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we won't slow down. Let's give all your guys from DFS some words.
Yeah. So I'd say EJ, I mean, great choice of words. Without a doubt, if you actually look at our roadmap, we actually have on there to win the Super Bowl. And, that goes hand in hand with exactly what you're saying. We felt like no matter what, every day we need to win the Super Bowl because it's the ultimate prize in football. So you using that analogy, it's just, it hits home for all of us. So we start every day off, recapping what we've done, and then we put our list together. What are we going to accomplish today? And then we build on it and keep building on it. And that's how we've gotten to all this momentum in 3.5 months. So I love your choice of words, and I love this space. Kevin from BUSD Buffet, there's something, a burning desire that got you driving this, wanting to help and reach out and be able to push that knowledge onto anyone else that can help catapult them. That's inspirational. It's awesome. So all together, man, this space is just amazing. And 2 hours and we could keep going, and I can't say that for anything else that that I do, and we do a lot. So it's awesome. Good space, good time. I hope anyone listening got a lot out of it, because we can keep going on and on and on. So appreciate it.
Sorry, Matt. Matt, you do such a good job of standing still that like half the time I thought you were frozen this evening. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I thought it was like just a picture.
You want to know why? I'm gonna tell you why right now. Because this is my work desk from home, and I'm so trained by the corporate world to stay seated for my laptop and my monitor. So hopefully DFSM can help me stand the hell up and move this damn body around, because I'm getting too old to be sitting this damn long.
Your new office will be a Lambo.
But yeah, just like yes. Well, hopefully my Lambo sounds like Metacaps over there, because that shit sound badass.
Seriously, that was
badass. But no, same thing. Pretty much a good space. It's also good to trade off with everybody. On a, I'm not gonna say like higher level, but in the experience level with crypto, because sometimes you got to like scale it back or dumb it down or make relevant like references to people who are just getting into crypto. And sometimes I find myself just trying to like convince people of the space, because they don't know it just yet. There's some under education that's going on there. So it's good to like trade off with you guys and just kind of just be on the same level of what we know and trade off of where we're at versus trying to catch somebody up in that space. So I appreciate this space because it's educational, even with knowing stuff, just knowing that all the other projects are feeling the same passion and waking up and looking forward to this like the rest of us. So that's definitely refreshing. GigBoxx, I have an idea for you. So just in a unified DeFi spirit, for your one feature that you want to throw out there for people who are selling stuff to search. This is an idea I actually had for my own app that I was going to come out with, but I don't think that's going to happen, and it might not have to happen now that I have DFSM to fall back on. It's called like ISO, like in search of. So when I would go on Facebook or the marketplace, I would get annoyed at people posting something that would just say like in search of something, because if you're putting something out there that you're searching for something, usually it's not getting to the end user that's trying to sell that. So within your platform, if you could have something that kind of like has tag words where someone who's trying to sell something can get notified as soon as someone puts the in search of search out there, an alert system. So there's a little, if you can just think about that for a quick second and wrap your mind around having something that can reverse engineer instead of someone posting something to look for it. When someone is asking for it, the person who has it already has that in there and they get alerted automatically. So that's going to be a key function or feature for you. So I want 10% of the platform ahead of time, and I'm joking.
I'll just
Like a
write
true
you the big
business
check
fan.
now.
Listen, that is a gem right there. Honestly, I sat on that for about 2 years there. So go ahead and take that and run with it. But that's what this space is about. And bless up for everybody and their projects and all the communities that are now, in a central location, just trading off. And hopefully we all could have, a shared audience there with the investors. So thanks,
Real
guys.
quick before we go to Karuna, I wanted to touch base on something you said. I think not only is it nice to talk to, other project leads and executives one-on-one like this, or like within a group setting like this, just because we all have like the same level of knowledge, but we also have like the same level of expectation and dealing with like that community expectation. So we bring that into this. Like, I don't think I've ever once asked any of you like, hey, what are your exact marketing plans? Like, hey, what stuff like that, because for instance, even like listings, like when we talk about listings, we talk about that stuff differently because we all have that insider knowledge of how often we've dealt with those exchanges and how those conversations have gone, how often they've approached us, so on and so forth, what that cost is and how that relates to the business fundamentals of a project. That's why I say like this is kind of like a break for me, because whenever I come to these, I know that I'm coming to these with groups of individuals that have had to walk that path and that have had to deal with the community on like a real personal level, especially if it's like your project that like, like it represents your life. Like this is you and everything that you've done. And this is now consumes 24/7 pretty much. And having that level of stress, even because, even on like good days or even like the right days, sometimes like the question just gets asked wrong again in the community somewhere and it just hits you wrong. It just like, it's like, all of a sudden you're feeling like some type of way about it. Like, like you've done something wrong or something like that. And being able to like let all that go and being able to just meet with groups of people that have had those same thoughts and have had those same experiences coming together in a space like this. I don't know. I appreciate it. I love the fact that I can continue to get people to come on. And I think that's why people continue to come on, is because they do have that type of connection here within these environments. Sorry, Karuna, do you have anything you would like to say for like the rounding out of everything? And then we're going to do Atlas.
Yeah, I just, of course, thank you for having us on. I always enjoy coming in here and hearing a bunch of different opinions and a bunch of different thoughts. Pretty cool. I liked the question on kind of how the current market conditions are affecting what these companies are doing, and liked hearing what everyone is doing. And I appreciate the fact that there's so many companies that are out there trying to really take an investor first approach, as opposed to, trying to make that quick little pump so that they can make some money and reflections and then move on with their lives. So super great to talk to everyone and appreciate being here.
Awesome. Atlas, come on, lead us out. Actually, before Atlas leads us out, I'm going to say one more thing. Meta BUSD coin available on Pancake Swap. It has a buy competition going on until the 15th, and the largest buy will actually receive a 22% bonus. airdropped to their wallet. So whoever that may be, probably won't be somebody ever listening to this. It'll just be some random person. But yeah, they're randomly going to get an extra 22% of tokens airdropped to their wallet, whoever they are.
Hold on.
Atlas, that was your cue to lead us out, bud.
You left me speechless. That was so beautiful.
In the words of Bill Murray, whatever you do, always give 100%, unless you're donating blood.
All right, guys. Thank you all.
Atlas for president.
Atlas
That
for
was
president.
awesome.
Nice.
Unless you're donating